All right, guys. So today, Special Prosecutor Hur was in front of Congress, taking questions, and he was obviously under, the Democrats were crying foul constantly because they're a bunch of wussies, and they have to protect their Lord and Savior, senile Biden. But in this case, he stood by his report, and they were asking, why are you interested in when his son died and how he didn't remember whatnot. But let's read this. This is from Washington Post, right? So let's see what Washington Post wrote about this. Republicans and Democrats squeezed former Special Counsel Robert Hur for more than 4 hours Tuesday, trying to get him to either condemn President Biden as a crook, say former President Donald Trump's treatment of classified documents was worse, or admit his own purported failing in an investigation into whether the sitting president broke the law in handling classified papers. Which, if anybody has an ounce of logic, FBI knew Trump had these documents. FBI guided Trump on how to store the documents. Nobody knew Biden had the documents. At the time Biden took these documents, he was the vice president. He has no declassification authority. But yet, he had documents in his garage, next to his Corvette, in his house, in a library, controlled by the Chinese. You see the difference? You see the hypocrisy here. None of it worked. Under aggressive questioning by the House Judiciary Committee, Hur defended the 345-page report he issued last month, which found some evidence that Biden willfully retained classified government material after he left the vice presidency in 2017, but concluded that there was not enough proof to justify criminal charges. So if there's not enough proof to justify criminal charges for Biden, why are you going after Trump when he was the president? Republicans tried to get Hur to admit that he thought Biden was guilty even if he couldn't file a case, which Hur resisted. Paradoxically, it was a Democratic lawmaker who drew out Hur's most anti-Biden statement, as the prosecutor explained that his duty was to determine if Biden should be charged, not whether he is innocent. I did not exonerate him, Hur declared in response to questions from Representative Pramila Jayapal, who had just insisted his report did exactly that. Let's listen to this. Hold on. Let me see why this is not working.
You're serious, Jamie.
Dr. Garcia?
Independent investigation resulted in a... Is it correct that, as it says in the first sentence of your executive summary, that your investigation concluded with an assessment that, quote, no criminal charges are warranted in this matter?
Correct.
So this lengthy, expensive, and independent investigation resulted in a complete exoneration of President Joe Biden. For every document you discussed in your report, you found insufficient evidence that the president violated any laws about possession or retention of classified materials. The primary law that you analyzed for potential prosecution was part of the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. 793E, which criminalizes willful retention or disclosure of national defense information. Is that correct?
Congressman, that is one statute that we analyzed. I need to go back and make sure that I take note of the word that you used, exoneration. That is not a word that appears in the report, and that's not part of my task as a prosecutor.
I'm going to continue with my questions. I know that the term...
I ultimately reached
I know
related to
that the
whether
term...
sufficient evidence existed such that the
Good.
likely
You
outcome
didn't, you
would be
exonerated
a
him.
conviction.
No, he
I know
didn't.
that
Did not
the
exonerate
term
him.
willful
That word does not appear in
retention
the
has a...
report, Congressman.
Mr. Hur, it's my time.
Sorry for that word, but did you see what she just did? She just added the exoneration in there. He did not say he got exonerated. She did. She added it in there. Okay? She tried to put words in his mouth. He good for him for coming out and say, I did not exonerate him. And that's on tape. This is what Democrats do. This is exactly what Democrats do. They don't like something and they just make up crap to say the crap they want to say. So, her mostly dry and precisely worded testimony revealed little new information beyond what was already in his report. It highlighted the stubbornly partisan way Democrats and Republicans have viewed the result of his year-long investigation, as Biden and Trump seem poised to face each other in 2024 presidential election. Conservatives spent much of the hearing attempting to make lopsided comparison between the Biden probe and Special Counsel Jack Smith's separate investigation into Trump's handling of documents, which resulted in 40 charges against the former president. Prosecutors alleged that he retained classified material after leaving the White House and thwarted officials' attempt to retrieve them, and a federal judge is expected to rule any day on when that case will go to trial. So, what's the difference here? The difference is they knew Trump had the documents. That's the difference. Trump knew these documents were classified. With the FBI's guidance, he put them in a Schiff, so they're not accessed by anybody that's that's not supposed to access them. And then with this moron, nobody knew until he says it. Nobody knew Biden had these documents for 7 years. 6 or 7 years. Right after when Trump was raided, Mar-a-Lago was raided, Biden came out and said, I found documents. I just remembered after 7 years. I just remembered that I had documents in my garage. So, I'm willing to give these documents back because I didn't know they were there. As if he never went to his house in Delaware. As if he never rode his Corvette or his son. Right? So, you see the difference? You see the hypocrisy here? So, this is why I said Democrats are super evil. They hate the Constitution. They absolutely hate the Constitution. So, I'm going to play a short clip of Adam Schiff talking to Hur. Hold on one second.
I understood based on...
You understood your report would be public, right?
I understood based on comments that the Attorney General had made that he had committed to make as much of my report public as consistent with legal policy and legal requirements.
And you could have chosen just to comment on the president's particular recall vis-a-vis a document or a set of documents, but you decided to go further and make a generalized statement about his memory, didn't you?
Congressman, I could have written my report theoretically in a way that omitted references to the president's memory, but that would have been an incomplete and improper report, and that it did not reflect my analysis.
You could have written your report with comments about his specific recollection as to documents or a set of documents, but you chose a general pejorative reference to the president. You understood when you made that decision, didn't you, Mr. Hur, that you would ignite a political firestorm with that language, didn't you?
Congressman, politics played no part whatsoever in my investigative steps.
But you understood nevertheless,
the words
didn't you,
that I put in my report.
Mr. Hur, you cannot tell me you're so naive as to think your words would not have created a political firestorm. You understood that, didn't you, when you wrote those words, when you decided to include those words, when you decided to go beyond specific references to documents? You understood how they would be manipulated by my colleagues here on the GOP side of the aisle and by President Trump. You understood that, did you not?
Congressman, what I understood is the regulations that govern my conduct as special counsel.
And those regulations
required me to write a confidential report for the Attorney General,
which you knew would not be
explaining my
confidential.
decision, and that is what I did, Congressman. I followed the rules.
You knew it would not be confidential.
I followed them.
You knew it would not be confidential, didn't you?
Sir, the regulations required me to write a confidential report explaining my decision to the Attorney General.
Which you knew would be released.
It was up to the Attorney General to determine
you understood it would be released, did you not?
Would be released consistent with DOJ policy.
You understood it would be released. You understood it would be released.
I understood from the Attorney General's public comments that he would make as much of my report public as he could, consistent with legal requirements and DOJ policy.
And you also understand DOJ policy that you are to take care not to prejudice the
So you see what Adam Schiff is doing here? Adam Schiff is basically trying to put Special Counsel Hur on the line for stating that Trump is senile, where he provided a confidential report where the DOJ could have omitted that. DOJ could have omitted that part, and they didn't. So, yeah.
interests of the subject of an investigation, right?
That is generally one of the interests that DOJ policy requires that prosecutors respect.
And it was your obligation to follow that policy in this report, was it not?
It was also my obligation to write a confidential report for the Attorney General explaining completely my
What
decision.
you did write was deeply prejudicial to the interests of the president. You say it wasn't political, and yet you must have understood. You must have understood the impact of your words. You must have understood the impact of your decision to go beyond the specifics of a particular document, to go to the very general, to your own personal, prejudicial, subjective opinion of the president, one you knew would be amplified by his political opponent, one you knew that would influence a political campaign. You had to understand that. And you did it anyway. And you did it anyway. And
He basically saying he should have lied. He should have never mentioned that Biden's senile, that, you know, he doesn't remember if he's wearing underwear or not. He should have lied on the report. That's what Adam Schiff is telling him. You should have lied. You should have kept it to yourself, because this has political repercussions against the Democrats. You basically gave the Republicans enough ammo to come after him.
And let me just go to some of the differences here between the president's conduct and Mr. Trump's. In the superseding indictment, on page 3, it says that Mr. Trump suggested that his attorney falsely represent to the FBI and grand jury that he did not have documents called for by the grand jury subpoena. You didn't find anything like that with respect to Mr. Biden, did you?
Congressman, I do not have the Trump indictment in front of me, but I need to address something that you said in your prior question. What you were suggesting is that I needed to provide a different version of my report that would be fit for public release. That is nowhere in the rules. I was to prepare a confidential report that was comprehensive and thorough of an
What is in the rules, Mr. Hur, what is in the rules is you don't gratuitously do things to prejudice the subject of an investigation when you're declining to prosecute. You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign.
He said the truth. He's not mentally fit to stand trial. That's what seniles are for. When they commit a crime, they go in, I'm not mentally fit, I'm senile. I can't be put in front of a judge and a jury. Period. Period. That's it. He told the truth. He told the truth, and Mr. Hur came and said, can't do that, bro. Within the rules, I have to say what I think. So, I don't know, guys. If you guys have a different outcome from this or a different opinion, leave it down in the comments. Peace out.